So welcome to UBuildIt. Let's see if this clicker works. Oh, isn't that fabulous? UBuildIt is a national franchise company, i.e. why we are taping for this tonight. We're in, I think, 37 states. Our 55th office is opening next month. So we have been blessed to be around and to have done well. We built a little over 12,500 homes. I have lost track at how many billions of dollars of economic that is on the value of the homes. We have been doing this since 1988. Blah, 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 blah. I can bore you a heck of a lot more with history. We're pretty freaking good at what we do, and we know what we're doing. If anyone has any questions on history, I will gladly answer. Yes, ma'am.
Are you personally from a local office?
I honestly am the Oklahoma City office. I was, and by the way, you look like a hat person. Thank you very much. To encourage the input and asking. I am third generation Bethany boy. My folks were butchers working out of Bethany, slaughtering at Harris Meats. Grandma literally sharecropped the land that is currently Lake Overholser. My great uncle helped dig it with the mule team that ran so. I have been here a long time. My first job in construction was at 14, pouring concrete for my Uncle Bill. Yes, I am the local office. Now, I was blessed to do well enough. I also own the Tulsa office and the Wichita, Kansas office. And when the founder of UBuildIt decided to retire in 2011, I bought him out. So I am also the franchisor. I've never had anybody ask that before. Thank you very much. That was a good question. All right, well, good. Look, we're off to a good start. Who uses UBuildIt? Busy people who are willing to do what they want. People often ask me, and is UBuildIt for everyone? Probably not, but I've never met anyone yet that I didn't think were a better answer for. My job tonight is to try to hopefully give you enough information you can make that call for yourself. And if I forget to get into it, going into it now would just be confusing, but if I forget, one of y'all remind me I have to mention Plus. When we added the UBuildIt Plus product back in 2010, I feel like we became where we can work for everyone, but we will get into that in a little bit. We break, golly, I forget we changed this thing up. I'm used to the old slow athlete. How do we do this? We break construction into two stages. We have the planning phase and we have the construction phase. Planning is everything. If I asked you, and this is one of the silly questions, somebody please feed me back a little bit, you will get your choice of a coveted UBuildIt water bottle or a magnificent UBuildIt hat. What is a catchphrase for planning? Anyone?
Do it right the first time.
That's a good one. Yes, sir. Here you go. How about another one? A stitch in time. Ah, look at you wanted a hat. I can tell. God bless you for being here. Fail to plan, plan to fail. That's a group. Everybody's going to have to get something before we leave, but I can't throw out that much now. So we are, I like those little silly things, but they make sense. I love planning. If you like to plan, if you like to know what you're doing, if you like to have the agenda and have it laid out, we are your paradise. You are going to be so happy. If you are an engineer, I am your fantasy, trust me. Just am. But if you don't like to plan, that's okay. We will teach you to learn to love it. Because there's no way around it. We have to plan. Planning is everything. I'm going to skip the end. If anybody is like, all right, good, I can take a nap and sleep through the rest of this, here's the core thing that matters the most. If we do our planning correctly, and we're going to, I'm going to have it. We're going to own it. We're going to have this down before you ever even close on your daggum loan. Construction is okay. Everything goes from here. So planning is broken into 5 stages. We have budget, land, plan, specs, and job cost. This one is a slightly, it's not really, but a slightly tricky question. Somebody, if I ask, what do I mean by budget at this stage? Raise your hand. Anyone?
The amount of money you plan on spending.
Okay. Thank you. And that is partially true. By the way, there's not a perfect answer. Everything's partially true. Foam house, lots of fun. Anyone else? Amount of money you're thinking? Yes. Oh, give her a coveted UBuildIt coffee mug from the back of the room, please. Thank you very much. These are actually excellent. You're going to call me and want some more. The core essence, blending those together, here's what I mean by budget at this stage. Number one, are you realistic about cost to build? If you come to me and you say, hey, I'm buying a lot in the new section of Oak Tree, or I'm buying a lot in the new section of Rose Creek, and I want to build a 4,000 square foot house, and I want to be one of the upper scale homes in there, and my budget's $90 a foot. I'm going to tell you you're unrealistic. I don't mean it hatefully or anything else, you are. Those homes are going for $175 to $200 a foot. I can get you 130, 140, but I can't build apple to apple and say I'm good. I ain't that good. Now you come to me and you say, I bought some land out in Piedmont, one of those the 2.5, 5 acre divisions. I want to build a similar house to what's out there. It's going to be 2,500 square feet. It's $85 a foot. I'm going to tell you, you got all the money in the world. We got 10 to 15 bucks a foot to play with. Not a problem. Because again, those homes are going for $110 a foot. That is a whole different beast. Pretty much if you ever want to play it safe, if you're like, what am I going to save with UBuildIt? And I know I'm jumping ahead. Nobody's asked that yet. But pretty much if you want to play it safe, subtract 20 to 25 bucks a foot. If you're at one or neighborhood and you're like, ooh, I love these houses, I love the style, what would it cost to build here, what's it going to be? Subtract 20 on the higher end homes, 25 bucks a foot, you're going to be close enough, we're good to work with. Okay, so that's aspect number one. Aspect number two of what I mean by budget is, have you gotten your financing lined out? You do not have to do that for me, but I need to know that you have done so for you. Simply put, and again, I'm jump forward, jump back, I hope you'll forgive me. Planning stage is a lot of friggin' work. It's a lot of work for us, and it's a lot of work for you. We both are putting some investment in, yours on your initial small pay, ours on the work. Neither of us wants to go through this to find out you couldn't get a loan. I did it once. And while I've never requested it, I've asked everyone ever since, just contact, make sure what you qualify for, what your range is, and where you're at. Almost every single time, everyone qualifies for more than they're comfortable paying. It is very rare that I have a client that comes to me and says, oh, I want to build a 4,000 square foot house or a $400,000 house and I only qualify for $350. It's almost always, I want to build a 3,000 square foot house and I'm scared to death doing that and I qualify for $450. So it goes. Yes?
Do you have preferred lenders that we could visit with?
We do. And one of them will be here later and I will answer. And if I hit somebody, sue him. Yes. That was good. That's why I have the foam houses so I can throw things and have fun. We do have some lenders we work with on a regular basis. John Dalton, who is one of the two people sponsoring tonight. The other is Waypoint. I'll introduce them at the end. The other is First United Bank, are our main lenders. You do not have to finance through the people we use. They're just helpful. They know you build it. They understand how it works. They've got the local bank to do the construction loan and flow along with that. I normally don't get lost here, but this doesn't come, whenever it comes up, I like to answer. Any other questions on lending? Yes, sir.
Is it different than just getting normal financing for a home?
Yes, very much so. And another excellent question. I'll get you later. I don't want to bean you. I don't want to leave it there. I want to try to over answer. You got to have a construction loan that then goes into a permanent. You can do a one-time close. One-time close is a smoke and mirror myth. It doesn't exist since 2008. There are people that have structured systems to go around it, but it's such messy hogwash. Believe it or not, it honestly, and I'm dead serious, costs more in the long run. So what you do is you take out a construction loan. When the house is complete, what they call takeout. they take that out into a permanent mortgage. Now, what you need to get qualified for up front is what can you get on the permanent mortgage. The construction lender only cares that he can carry your loan. Construction lender is a small bank using their own funds or what they're able to borrow off the FDIC on those types of short-term loans to enable you to build the home. They're not a mortgage company, so what they care about is somebody will take it out. John Dalton, Dalton Mortgage Group, that is what he does. He has a couple of lenders he uses. I think Legacy's one. I know Advantage is the main lender that do the construction loans, and they use his takeout letter to guarantee it because that's what they want to know. The other is they're going to have the security. The banks, oh, anybody want to guess? What is the construction lending standards? If somebody gets this, you're a daggum genius. I'll give you something fancy.
85% loan to value.
Oh, you're cheating. You read. That's all right, though. Let's give you oh. Do you don't want to? Here, you look nice. He gave you his. There you are. If you have kids, they're going to love that. It's a very cool water gun. All right. Rule of thumb. They like to do 80%. You can do 85. Take 85 and throw it out of your head because the magic number is 80. The goal I am always fighting for. The hurdle that we are going to kill ourselves on. The thing that makes Kelly cry herself to sleep at night is our goal through planning, and again, skipping forward for y'all, is to have 20% equity. 20% equity is where the magic happens. If you have more, we'll do an email on you because that's awesome and it looks great. But 20% equity is where the magic happens. At 20% equity, your loan is a cakewalk. If your credit score is north of 640, they're going to loan you the money to build a house. At 20% equity, we can build about 10 to 15% more home for the exact same monthly payment because you're not wasting money on PMI. We've avoided that irritant. And I would
What do you mean by equity?
What do I mean by equity? Nope, that's an excellent question. Equity, and then we're going to get to it in a minute, and you're going to be like, oh, if you'd only waited. Thank you, brother. Equity is the difference of what the house is worth and what it costs to build. Let us not mislead ourselves here. UBuildIt is not just a thing. It's not just a trick. It's not a smoke and mirror. You're going to earn your keep. It's fun. You're going to have a great time doing it. It's very, very cool. Shockingly, it's not much more than what you do if you're building a house with a traditional general contractor structure. Basically, you're going to go through, you're going to drop by the job every day, you're going to look at it and see how it's looking, blah, da, 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 da. Because of, and a lot more of it's going to make sense as I explain, because about half of it comes from the planning phase. But about half the savings is the work you're doing yourself. When you're done, if your house costs $200,000 to build, but it appraises, if its value is $250,000, you have what we call $50,000 of instant equity. If you prefer the phrase you save $50,000, you can. I use equity because loans, that's a banking term. They can care less about save. Equity means a ton. So that is. Did that answer hopefully, or probably overkilled? Yes, sir.
How much of what you just described applies to a remodel?
100% and 0. Okay? It all applies. Here's the quirk of remodels. We do a job that in this part of town would appraise for $150 a foot. If I'm doing a remodel in an area that praises for $60 a foot, you may get 70, but they're not going to praise it higher than the value of neighbors. So it all applies, but that doesn't mean you're going to save enough. My average remodel, honestly, I save about 50% versus hiring a remodel general contractor. Do you understand what I mean by what I said, or do I? Okay, good. And I know it's kind of confusing, but yes. You had a question, sir?
Yeah, I've met with a couple of builders, and their typical fee is about 12 to 15%.
Okay.
What is the UBuildIt fee? How's your
Hey!
how's your fee?
I have never. Get that man a coveted UBuildIt coffee mug. Thank you very much. I've never had anybody ask that early. Okay, grab your pens and papers and write this down, please. Our fees are $2,500 due when you sign an agreement. That is to offset the planning phase. It does not cover the cost of it, but we are both going to have some skin in the game. Construction phase fee is $6.85 a square foot heated space. If you prefer conditioned space, you may use that phrase. $2.95 a square foot unheated space. $2.95. Yes, garages, porches, unfinished outbuildings, that's unheated space. We are a minimum of $15,000. For anyone looking to build a home over 2,000 square feet, the minimum doesn't kick in. If you're under 2,000 square feet, we're usually just flat 15,000. But that is our minimum fee. Remodels are $2,500 when you sign an agreement, 20% of the projected job cost.
When are your fees due?
They are paid as part of the construction loan.
So that'd be the first check that's written as to.
It's part of. The banks we use do 50% at start, 25 frame, 20 at drywall, 5 at paint. That's at the end. It can structure slightly, it can be all the other, but that is how, I can't remember the last time I had a client that didn't go through one of those lenders or a lender that used the same schedule.
Back to that equity thing for just a second.
Yes.
Just to clear my confusion. Says I can build a house for $100,000. What you're saying is on the construction loan, you're going to need to be able to get $85,000?
No, on the construction, I mean, if I'm 100,000, your home has to be worth at least 120.
So how do you figure that? How is that figured in? Just when it's
Cost to build versus what its value is. I will tell you something, 100 grand, and I'm running down a sidetrack here, so I'm going to go just a little ways and then we have to. Building a house for less than $100,000 is so friggin' hard. I've done a couple for 90. I'm just telling you the minimum fees, and I don't mean us, just it's so hard. I can build a 1,000 square foot house, or I'm building an 1,800 square foot house for the same money. I mean, it just is there. However, if you do it, and the client always has to do some actual sweat equity. Because when I'm talking on everything, guys, I'm assuming you're not doing any physical labor. Any numbers I throw, any quotes, always include my fees. They assume you're not doing anything. If you're actually going to do labor yourself, it's different. When you're trying to build under 100 grand, the better shape you're in. But I will tell you this, I have never done a house for even under 120 that didn't have a lot more than 20% equity. Because you end up building a 16, 17, 1,800 square foot house. The thing's going to be worth 160, 180,000.
We're just looking at, thinking like, but we want about 1,300, 1,400 square foot house.
And here's the quirky thing, you can build a 1,600 for the same money. You don't have to, but you can.
Well, the reason why we're thinking, we want to keep our energy costs down lower. So the smaller keep the house, the lower we keep our energy costs.
And on that, I will pause and say we need to save that one to the end. I will tell you the difference of energy cost if we build the house correctly, it won't be $5 a month. I built a 4,800 square foot house, and we actually, was a client that wanted to have it rated, and it is 2 years old now. The heating and cooling bill runs an average, because we had to put on separate meters, of $80 a month. So building the house, energy efficient, that's too far ahead. I'm going to come back to it. Fees. I need to finish that. $2,500, 20% on remodels, $2,500, $685, $295, minimum $15. To be clear, and this is very important, we are a construction consultant. There is a reason we use that phrase. There's a reason it is on the pages. You are paying us to help you build the most home for the least money, period. I cannot do that if I take rebates. I cannot do that with kickbacks. I can't do markup. That is what you're paying me to work for you to be on your side. That is our fee, absolute. If you're building a 3,000 square foot house, extrapolate it out, that's what it is. I don't care if you spend 60 bucks a foot building the house or 300 bucks a foot building the house. I'm not relevant to that. My goal is to help you get the most for the least and to educate through. Okay, man, did I cover more ground than I've ever covered at that stage. Y'all are fun, I like y'all. Did you have a follow-up question, sir? Yes.
Let's just say hypothetically, you bought a lot, you paid cash $75,000.
Okay.
And just hypothetically, you went online, you found some plan, a couple $1,000, so you paid for the plans, and you paid for them to do a budget for you on a 3,000 square foot home that came out to be about $260,000.
Yeah.
And you met with a builder, and you said it's gonna cost $399,000 to build that house. What's wrong with that?
Oh, bro, trust me, if you'll give me 20 minutes, I will answer that in a more direct way. First off, the budget costing they do when you buy the plans, no disrespect to them at all, it's garbage. The builder, oh, gee whiz. Absolute love and respect. If you will let me attack that in about 4 slides, I'm going to own it. But that said, let me cover one thing. Grab your and give yourself a blank sheet. This is freakishly important. We're probably going to cover it somewhere in this thing. But I'm going to give you a word picture. I want you to follow along. If you ever do work with us, you're going to hear us refer to this so often you're going to get sick of it. This is oversimplified. I intend it to be. I try to do everything where a first grader can follow me because then I know I'm going to be safe. Draw a triangle. There are 3 things and only 3 things that impact your house, period. Everything is a subcategory of one of these 3. The first one is size. Size is relevant to this extent. I know I'm being loud. I need to make sure you get this because if you take nothing else, this is the most important part. Size is relevant to this extent. 2 2x4s cost twice as much as 1. 2 feet of concrete costs twice as much as 1 foot of concrete. After that, size does not matter. Beware getting lost in size. There are times it doesn't apply like you think it should. The next corner of the triangle, I'm not going to get fancy. I'm not going to call it budget or estimate. Put a $sign. Money. Greenbacks. Let's be honest. It is what it is and it matters. The last corner of your triangle, and the most complicated one, is features. Okay? Cover any corner of the triangle, and all you can manipulate are the remaining 2. Cover money, and I can manipulate size, or I can manipulate features. Conversely, cover features, and I can manipulate size, I can manipulate money. Cover any 2, and you have dictated the 3rd. All right? Think basic 9th grade geometry. If I have an angle here and I call the 2nd, and you know what the 3rd is going to be. You give me size, you give me budget, I'll tell you features. You give me features, you give me money, I'll tell you size. You give me size, you give me features, I'll tell you money. Okay? So cover any corner and you started to shift your limitations. Once you have covered all 3, you know what's in your house. You're done. You're golden. Again, skipping big time on down. The whole purpose of our planning phase is to get there. I want to cover all 3 corners. You know what it means when you cover a corner? It means you know. It means we have knowledge. That is perfect. That is beauty. That is power, if you like that word. I don't care. I love knowledge. I love knowing. I love the planning. Now, to try to roll this in, and I did that because I want to be more respectful and try to answer that. The problem with the guy, the designer that threw it in there, he knows size. but he has no idea what features you're putting in that house. So he figures the most basic, and boom, there's a rough cost. The problem with your general contractor is he 100% just wagged a number. Wild ass guess, if anybody cares. He has no idea what is going in your home. I want you to think of it kind of like this. Take your little old triangle and put size at the bottom and cover it up and realize what you just turned the world into is a teeter-totter. Most of you walked in here, and this has been my experience, I've been proven wrong maybe once or twice. Very rare person I ever meet that the money side, they don't have it covered, but they're real friggin' close. You have a budget in your head. You just do. And I've never seen anyone vary more than 3 or 4% off of it. I don't care if you qualify for $500,000. I don't care if you'd love a $500,000 house. If the budget in your head is $280,000, I can tell you right now, there's no way you're going to spend more than $300,000 because you won't be comfortable. You won't be happy. You'll go to bed stressed. What a horrible way to live. I don't want you to do that. Do the $300,000. So, you would have, yeah, yeah. So, what we get. Very first thing covered, let's be honest, size. You gotta have plans. We don't even get started on the other stuff till we have those. So the big thing we do is swallow that issue of features. And I will make more sense of that in a minute, but hopefully that helped somewhat. First thing we have is budget. I guess paying more attention to my slides. So budget is all we're realistic about cost to build. Most people will fly over that. Lending, golly, I should have covered. I'm going to have to trust John. I'm going to pre-warn y'all. I know I missed something important on lending. I don't remember what I said enough to remember what it was. Hope that at the end. If not, if I think of it, I'll confuse you by coming back. Hey, triangle of construction. I think we covered that well enough. Next is land. Here, this is fun. How many of you already have land? Raise your hand. Keep them up. Keep them up. Everybody gets a coveted UBuildIt hat. I love that stuff. Yay! Somebody's have to. Don't kill anybody. Don't kill anybody. Woohoo! We've already got land. There you go. All right, you're going to have to help me out, Ron. You have to take care of people in the back. I'm going to blind someone. That came for fun. If you didn't get one, I cheated you on land. See me after and we'll give you your free UBuildIt hat. Or cup or whatever you want. We just like to have fun. Land is to this extent. If you don't have land, let me deal with y'all first respectfully. If you don't, I will do all I can. Okay? I am not going to imply I'm a realtor. I'm not going to get in the Lincoln or Ford LTD and drive around town and look at stuff. God love you, I just don't have the time. But we do our best to keep track of places we know where land is available. We do have 40 or 50 people a month that come in the office and they have land or they've had land they looked at, and we make note of that. And developers do contact us to let us know what is available. We keep a pretty decent database, is that the right word, of what is out there. I'm not perfect, but if you don't have land, we will do everything we can. If what we know about is not enough, we will put you with a realtor. And I'm glad to do so. That said, here's a secret, and I'm saying this in a cute, fun way, I hope. Best way to find land if you don't have it is the old-fashioned way. That's just get on your horse and ride. Grab a cappuccino, get a nice Sunday afternoon, roll down the windows unless it's cold, and then keep the windows up. Take your beautiful husband or wife along with you, have a lovely romantic drive, and some part of the state that you would like to live in, get lost off the main roads. You will be amazed how much is out there. You will see stuff. Will it be perfect for you? I don't know. I hope so. I've had people that can take, I mean, I really have. I've had clients that have taken as much as 8-9 months to find land. But once you have it, or if you have it, the first thing we do is we come with you. If you have your plans, we want to take them out there with us. If we don't, we want to take the concept of them pretty much along with the designer to integrate as best we can the design in with the land. We are not going to tell you anything, but trust me, there are aspects that most of you don't know about that always need to be looked at and discussed from a builder standpoint. What are easements? How are we going to parent? How do we want to rent the house? What's our approach? There's just stuff that matters. Is it in a floodplain? And yes, people do say, oh, I'm not in a floodplain, and they are. Golly, I've had that happen a couple times. Is there slope? I'll tell you the biggest one we run into when people are building out in the country is, man, my land's flat. It's so, we gotta look. Only once in my life have I had somebody tell me, oh, we're so excited, we found this land and it's going to be perfect because we always want to walk out basement and there's so much fall. And I was like, man, I'd roll a golf ball and it'd stop in 3 feet. This land, it was as flat as it gets. I have never had to create hills to put in a walkout basement before. But we did it and it was fun. It was kind of cool. But that's rare. Usually it's missed the other way. So that is, and remodels, oh, here's one. How many, we have one. How many remodels do we have in the room? 1, 2, 3. Give them a coveted UBuildIt coffee mug, and you, sir, you get something even better, but I'm going to roll it on the ground so we don't kill anybody. There you go. Thank you. Oops. I got to get another one to the back guy. You ready? You ready? You going to catch? You going to catch? You going to catch? Okay. Remodels are similar. The main difference is we don't like to sign an agreement on a remodel until we've come to your property. It's just, you can't. I'm pretty stinking good. You can bring me your photos, you can bring me your goals, you can bring me your ideas, and I tell you true, 80% of the time, I've done this enough, I'm gonna peg it. 80% is a crappy winning percentage in my book. So we are going to come and we're going to walk. I want to see, I want to know what I'm working with. We actually want to go in the house, unless you have a problem with it, and discuss it with you there. Are we going to be perfect? Man, let's be very honest. Remodels. No matter how great I am, you always hopefully are holding out a uh-oh fund, because you just don't know. Now, some are pretty easy. You got a house built in 1995 and you want to cut out the back and add a family room. Okay, maybe, but it's rare. That's easy stuff. But most remodels are a little bit more unique, and we're tying into some older foundations. There's a little quirk to it. So we want to go out there and we want to at least give you, and this is where I'm going to wag, we're going to give you our best guesstimate on what you're looking at. Then if you want to move forward, we'll get started and go forward. Any questions on land? Yes, sir.
Does it cost more to build out? The city limits and everything?
Very rare. If you get more than 70 miles away, it'll go up a little bit. You get more than 70 miles, figure an extra $5 a foot just for drive time. My fee, if you go more than 70, goes up 5%, by the way, because it's a lot of friggin' gas that we spend going.
The ordinances and stuff like that, the city ordinances.
You honestly, if you get more than 30 miles out, you're usually out of Oklahoma County. If you're out of Oklahoma County, you don't have inspections, you don't have ordinances, none of those matter. But the reality is this, and I'm going to say this, and I'm being so. I've never ever had a client look at me and say, do a shoddy job if it's cheaper because I'm in the country. I just never have. So we're going to, I really do. You're going to build it at the same level of quality. So the only relevance is there's some travel cost. Now you get out there, you get way out there. We start getting, I've done a couple in the Panhandle area, out in the boondocks outside of, 30 miles, 40 miles away from Ponca City on the Kansas border, where a guy can't commute. They're going to have to stay overnight in something. They're going to have to rent a trailer or find a small hotel or whatever to do the work. They may charge a little extra, but as a rule, figure an extra $5 a foot max, and you're okay. Where are you building?
Oklahoma City.
Well, then yours is easy. No. Oh, well, yeah, okay. Nah, I'm sorry. Yes. And I've got you just seconds here.
If you find land, what do you need to know about it to see if it's a decent lot to build? What do you need to find out about the land?
Give me a call. I mean, I know that's not the thing, and let me ask questions to be relevant to it.
Okay.
Truth be known, if you're buying in a development, you can usually pretty safely look at it and know. If you haven't bought it yet, even if you've signed I'm gonna always put a caveat. You know, I want Bob or Alan or Rick or somebody from UBuildIt to see it before we finalize.
Do you have any testing done?
We're in Oklahoma. I have once. Alan, you remember that bizarre one with the water table was a foot deep? I mean, I'm seriously, it is the only time. It was one of those freak rare things where there was an underground river. Wow. That literally did this, and I mean, there was a house 40 feet this way and 40 feet that way, no problem. It just happened to pop up right here. It was the worst thing, and we fixed it, but it was effort. Hey, you got to dig your hole in, you got to redirect and transfer it out. And we made a nice little wonderful pond for the farmer behind. Everybody wins, but it stunk. However. That's 1 out of 900 homes. Rule of thumb, no. You can do soil tests. I'm not going to tell you not to do a soil test. But the reality is, if you find land in the country and you like it, as a rule, buy it. Okay. You give me 5 acres, I guarantee you I'm going to find you a place we can build on. I've never not. Okay. Now, you might be the one that guaranteed loser, but it has not happened yet. Now, can you run into quirks that dictate things to us? Absolutely. We're not a rhino going through it, by God, we're declaring the path we're going to go. The land can declare things to us. But it's just a matter of which foundation, which dirt work, which way are we going with it. It's not a matter of, oh my gosh, we can't. Now, you come to me and you say, I have absolutely, by God, I have to have this foundation, I have to have this sewer. Well, now that you gave me different rules to work off of. That can be a different beast. Yes, sir.
In finding the land, do you need to find your own lender, or is it going to roll in with your?
Please make it part of the construction loan. Otherwise, you're wasting $3,000. They're just going to hickey you at the title company. Just make it part of the construction loan, please. Yes, sir.
Not being familiar with the soil here in relationship to this, what about, there's no rock tables or anything like that around here?
We have a very low frost line. We're a 16-inch frost line, I believe, and that is a 16 or 8? 16, I'm correct. So it is not an issue. The rare times you do hit rock, we've got the chippers to cut through. Our biggest problem that we have here in those areas, I gotta be polite and respectful. You guys are nice and ask questions. Our biggest thing we run to in those areas in Oklahoma is we are high clay. We're a very powerful clay content. When we get into features and things.
How many have you built with foundation or basement? Any?
Oh, yeah. I don't do very many non-walkouts, and I advise you against a non-walkout in Oklahoma. One, we have a weird water table, but I don't care. I can get around that. And yes, we have shifting clay. I don't care. I know how to build correctly with that. The reason I tell you, if you want a basement, to do a walkout. In Oklahoma, a walkout is valued, our appraisers, our lenders, treated exactly the same as standard footage. They subtract. It actually hurts the value of a home if you have a full basement, no walkout. I mean, not only you don't get credit from it, because here, so many were built so poorly for so long, everyone in this room, there's a little bit of them going, that boy's crazy. He can't build a basement that doesn't leak, because they've all had a friend that had a basement that in 10 years was flaking concrete and garbage. And let me tell you something, if you're going to do one here, you need to do about a 4 or 5 foot backfill minimum, and one heck of a French drain and a good sump system, because we are going to have the rain, clay, and it's going to flow right into you. So you got to have a good backfill. You got to know how you're waterproofing and everything else. And that said, there isn't a builder in the state that does more basements than our clients do. I just, if there is one, I have no friggin' idea who he can be. I think we probably are 2 to 3 times the next closest. But I have a lot of clients that build out in the country, and a walkout basement makes more sense. Because here's the thing, all right, let's say you find your 5 acres. And you're like, oh, I want a walkout basement. They're so great. And I'm going to look at you and go, ugh, add $10 a foot to your house. And I mean it. Add $10 a foot to your house. That's what a basement costs. There's more to them. If you're going to do it right, and if you're not going to do it right, please, Lord, don't do a basement. So you're going to have some extra costs to it. It's like, oh, well, then I don't want a basement. Let's just build it level. Well, now I'm building in the country, and I got a lot of fall. But I don't have any place good to steal dirt from, and I don't want loose fill. Well, okay, it's $25,000 more for the basement, or it's $20,000 to bring in dirt and to shoot the piers to guarantee the house is going to hold. Well, now your basement's a lot cooler. Or if you get into one where, heaven forbid, it's $25,000 for the basement, it's $35,000 for the dirt work and everything, you absolutely do it. So that is why I do so many of them. More often than not, the terrain dictates the value to the client, and they make the decision to do so. Yes, sir?
What are your thoughts on post-tension monolithic?
Love them. It is my favorite by far, especially as relates to clay. All right, I'm going to tell y'all, just a sec. So that's land. Next is plans. We're going to come back to plans. Once we have money, once we have land, once we have... Young lady had a question. I'm sorry, ma'am, you had a question. I'm going to answer yours better in a moment, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Well, my question is, on the land, if it's in another county that's closer to one of your other UBuildIt, will you coordinate with that UBuildIt? Or
To say this with love and respect and hopefully no arrogance, in Texas, I own the other UBuildIts. So yes. It will flow accordingly. Now, if you're building in Texas, I will introduce you to our franchise partners down there. They're great guys. I like some more than others, but they're great guys. So but on the whole, I think we'll be good. You know what? Yes, ma'am.
I'm pretty sure a remodel will require tearing down the room that's there now. It's just quote, sunporch, unquote.
Okay.
Do you help with that too?
Of course. How could we not? And I don't mean that, but we're full service, ma'am. Absolutely. I can't stand the putzes that are out there. Oh, I'll save you money because I want to rip you. No, absolutely. Okay, so I got it back. We're back to plans in a minute. I've never ever done it this way, but the flow, and I thank y'all. I have so much more fun when you ask questions. The flow of it gets me better if I go into specs now. Once we have money, there's an old saying, what does it take to build a house? There's 3 legs to the stool. You got to have money, you got to have land, you got to have plans. Trust me, if you have questions on plans, we're going to go backwards and cover it in just a sec. Once you have those 3 things, believe it or not, you have finally put us to work, or that's what we you'll put us to work. You are going to come in the office and you're going to sit down almost always with Alan. Alan, raise your hand, you attractive young devil. The beautiful Alan and all his glory. Sorry, his wife, I wish she was here. She gave him so much heck for the next 2 days. I love her. Okay, you're going to sit down with Alan and you're going to have your spec meeting. Spec meeting is a blast. Spec meeting is awesome. Spec meeting is fun. Spec meeting is going to last somewhere between 6 and 8 hours. okay? You're gonna have to take at least a half a day off work. Just accept it, know it, plan for it. It is what it has to be. Spec meeting, remember when we did the triangle and I said the word features? That is all this meeting is about. This is what are the different ways to build your home. The reason I say it's fun is, dude, trust me, you ain't never been through anything like this. I am dead serious when I tell you, you are going to leave that meeting with more knowledge than probably 85% of the builders that are members of the Home Builders Association. Because they learned their way, they went that way. I don't have that commitment. We are here to look at every aspect of your home, every style, every way we can knowledge of, conceive of, have learned of, and tell you what is good and what is bad. This is a cost-benefit analysis, period. And I cannot emphasize this enough. I care what you put in your home. I care that you like what you put in your home. But I don't financially care. $685 a foot. I am set, I am done. If you choose to go this way or you choose to go that way, it does not impact me either way. From that end, I am freed up. I'm not trying to make more and get extra or anything else. What I care about is, do you know? So to use your example on a foundation, I don't personally, my money doesn't care if you choose post-tension, if you choose pier and grade beam, if you choose footing, if you choose a basement, if you choose spread footing, if you want to go with straight piers and raised up. I don't care. Here's what I care about. Why? What is good and what is bad? My job is to explain each of those foundations to you, to explain to you what is good about it, what is bad about it, what is good about it as relates to your job and your land, about it as relates to your job and your land, and what the relative cost is, and thus the relative value. Now, to answer straight up, and this is personal, this isn't just personal, very, very, very rarely do I think anyone should ever do anything but post-tension. I love post-tension. Because of the structure of it, it is the most solid. You can pour anywhere. It can handle clay without an issue. Something bizarre happens to your land, I don't even care if it's an earthquake, tighten it up, make it right. Amazing. And we have such an incredible value with our concrete contractor. I actually get it done for less cost than the other traditionals. However, if I've explained to you post-tension, and I explained to you a traditional footing, stem wall slab, and you choose to go footing, stem wall slab, fantastic. If it was explained and based on your views and your values and what you want, that's the choice you made, then guess what that was? That was the right friggin' choice. And I believe that, mean that to the core of my soul. Your life is not dictated by my values. Your life is dictated by yours. My job is to make sure you are as educated as to your options as possible so you can make the best possible decision for you and your family as relates to your goals, dreams, and values. Once we've done that, you made the right call. You know what my job is then? To get you the highest quality for the lowest price I possibly can. And again, I have no... And guys, the fun thing about specs is we're going to do that on every aspect of your home. You know something? And I'm dead serious. I can't remember the last time I had a client that chose to do a crappy insulation job, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to. I am. Because I'm going to explain to you. I'm not going to be a moron. I'm not going, well, if you want to insulate with wadded up newspaper, here's the R value. I'm not, you know, we're going to do at least the code. But I'm going to explain to you what's good and bad about bats. Now, you want the lowest cost insulation you can have, and one that on paper rates real high, but in reality sucks. And by reality, here's what I mean. By reality is how much did I spend every month on electric or gas? That's what I mean by that. Then that's the one to choose. And there might be a rare case where somebody wants to go that route. But it's extremely rare. However, my job is I'm going to explain it to you, and I'm going to let you make your choice. You may choose to go ICF. You may choose to go SIP panels. Now, much like post-tension, most clients end up choosing spray foam insulation. It costs a little bit more, but it pays back in a year and a half. And it basically puts about 20% more money back in your pocket for the rest of your life. So it's rare somebody doesn't go that way. But if you want blown blanket, if you want man, that's awesome. I know people that do them all. Sir, you had a question before I rambled.
Here in this area, either city or county, is anybody or any of the city building codes, do they reference any kind of earthquake requirements or whatever, like shear walls, things like that?
No. Earthquake relatively rare. Around here we do get some rambles, but they're not enough. They've hit code. We had a big run of earthquakes back in the 50s and 40s. We had a couple of years with some decent tremors in the early 70s, and everything had been quiet up until about a year and a half to 2 years ago. Well, how long will that continue? I do not know. Is it due to fracking? If it is, it's going to last longer. If it's just natural rotation of cycles, like natural rotation of large chunks of seasons in this state, which fits the pattern more, they'll quit in a year or two. But even, no. Now that said, be paranoid and build one that'll stand up to a tornado, and I'm going to handle every earthquake Oklahoma will throw at you. It really will. But no. And I don't think they're going to, but who knows? Have one bad enough somebody gets injured and we'll have a code for it. Yes, sir.
Is there a way to wrap a storm shelter into this?
Alan, when was the last time we didn't have a storm shelter in a house? It's been a long time. Yes, it is extremely rare. Again, it is a feature. It's going to be discussed. You're going to make the choice. Nobody doesn't. Because you can get one for $3,000. Now you can spend 15, 20, depending on where you want to go. But the first question is, do you want one? And then, you go from the little one you drop in the garage to a safe room built in the house and everything in between. But there are more options in that realm than you can conceive of. But yes, it is.
Does it have to be part of the structure, or can it be like outside one?
Depends on what kind you want.
Okay.
The answer is yes and no. It can be. It does not have to be. I'm going to come back and I'll ask any questions on specs in a minute. Pretend we didn't cover that because that's where we got to wandering. Plans. All right. My last 3 UBuildIt hats just in case. Does anybody already have plans? Only one guy? Give him a coveted UBuildIt coffee mug then. Oh, hats are back to play. I have never had the group this size have more people with plans. You wanted you to have it later anyway. Okay, I am used to people having some. So
you got to do counseling between Larry's company.
I have never had it as an issue. I have twice lost deals where people signed an agreement that we never built the house because they broke up, but they had problems way before they ever met me. I have never lost one during. I just, you want to know something? And I ain't gonna go there. You think I'm being an arrogant jerk? Make your marriage better. I better make your marriage better. I better do a service to you that at the end, it was like, wow, look what we did. Wasn't that awesome? Holy cow, what an incredible job we did communicating together. Wasn't that neat? When you're mad, you're not mad at each other. You call Bob, that son of a bitch, he lied to me, I hate him. And then the next day you go, I'm sorry, I just had to vent against someone. I want to go, it's fine, I'm married, I do it every day. No, that was total play, comedian routine. My wife's amazing. She doesn't yell at me every day. If you yell till I said that joke, you're fired. Plans. If you are like most, well, you know what? 3 ways to get plans. Number 1, most affordable. No problem with it whatsoever. Go online, find a set of plans you like, buy them. Buy the reproducible set. Do not buy one of those lame 5-piece builder pack. We're going to use about 50 sets of plans, okay? The way I do things is very, very different. Buy the reproducible set. It's going to cost you anywhere from $800 to $1,500. By the time we print all the paper we're going to need, that's going to be another $200 to $300. So somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000, you got a set of plans. Okay? I'm built off every one of them. We're great. Go for it. The extreme on the other end, some of the top designers in the world happen to live in Oklahoma City. We have who's my guy in Edmond? How can I forget his name? Fillmore, yes. But no, who's my big Edmond guy? Come on. Brent Gibson. Golly, his daughter's probably here tonight. She'll probably kill me. She works for our lender. Phenomenal designers. Beautiful work. They will custom draw whatever you want, and it will be fantastic. You're going to start at 12 grand. You're going to go up to 30. Okay? I'm not knocking it. Workman's worthy of his hire. That's great. It's just what it costs. If you're like most of my clients, I love the look of this house. I found this one online. If only I could blend this master bedroom into that one. Or, oh, this one would be neat if I could shift these around and push it up a little. And you want to alter or blend some together. Keep in mind, it can't just be, hey, I wanted to move this one wall. There's copyright laws. But if you are, and you've got a concept, just how am I going to make my house out of it? I have a designer. They actually, because I got sick of having to call them to the office constantly, they lease space next to us. They're right there with us. It's Creative Home Designs. Did any of you guys come tonight? I'd hope they would, but that's okay. There are 3 of them that work there for $2,500. They will custom draw anything you want. They do about 14 sets of plans a month for my clients. They're incredibly affordable. They're incredibly affordable because I give them that much work, and that is the agreement to it. If you're north of 6,000 square feet, they may charge a little bit extra. If you come to me and you say, where do you want me to go for my plans? I love it when people go with them because it allows me to have input. And not input like I want to control, not input like I want to dictate, but when y'all get a draft, unless you say, no, don't let Bob see it. They're going to include us on it, okay? And I'm going to respond back. And I'm not going to respond back like, do this or that. And if you don't like the idea I roll out or one of my guys roll out, we're not going to cry into our pillow. We have no emotional attachment. But I want to throw out ideas based on our experience. Mostly I'm going to throw out cost to build ideas. If I see something literally that is a minor change that can save 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 grand, I'm at least going to tell you, my gosh, it's what you're paying me for as a consultant. Now, if you're like, nope, that's the way I want it, well then perfect, man, that's great. But we want to weigh in, we want to have some say, we want to guide through a little bit. So that is the beauty of it. Not to mention they're incredibly affordable. The other beauty of them is this. I have never had a client sit through spec that didn't make a change to their plans. I just never have. And the reason for that isn't y'all didn't think when you didn't plan it, when you didn't love it. It's you have never looked at them that way. And I wish I could teach you how to do that, but I can't till you've done it. I can't, you got to do it to learn it and to get there. I've never had a client that didn't make a minor change. With those guys, we redline it, we walk it next door, we hand it to them. Within 2 days, we've got the final plan. So I love that about them. Do not feel you have to go with them. Those jerks didn't even buy me a bucket of popcorn for Christmas, okay? I have no commitment with these guys, other than the fact I give them a lot of work. I do work well with them, and they are incredibly affordable. It is a good symbiotic relationship. That is the plus and the blessing. I enjoy it. Remodels, it's usually about the same money. Remodels are a lot more work, but they also tend to get done quicker. Negative on your remodel is you have to draw the house twice. I have to draw it exactly like it is. Then you have to draw it like it's gonna be. So from that end, you're getting 2 for 1. The balance, I always fight with them and say, no, you can't charge more for it, is remodels get finished a lot faster. A home, man, I mean, you'll draw it and they're done. It's like, throw it away and start all over. That takes a lot more little tweaks. Remodels tend to go a lot quicker, so it balances out. Now, if it's a little piddly, we're having 5. I got you. I promise I'll get you on in just a sec. Little piddly 500 square foot square box add-on, that's a different beast. We'll chat. Some of those we can draw. If you know what, none of you bought plans online, so I'm not going to get lost answering that question. I promise I will remember. Thank you very much. Okay, pin in it. Question, yes ma'am.
Are there costs for those changes?
No. If you have hired Creative Home Designs to do it, they will make your changes for free. Now, once you have come out of spec, they're going to send it to you and say, is this done? And once you say yes, they're going to print, okay? They're going to finalize. If you make a change after that, they will charge you for it. Now, they're going to charge you $100 or something, depending on how big it is. I've freakishly rare that's happened. I mean, like 3 times. And I don't know how many hundreds of plans those guys have drawn for me. But up until that point, no. The reason I love them is they will redraw and redraw and redraw as many times as we need. Yes, ma'am, you had a question first.
I think you said this before, but if you look at plans online, like a lot of people do, you get the pictures, you get the rooms and everything. So can you take what you see to these guys? I mean, most of them you don't get the room sizes and the.
You're right. It's an inspiration, and I am going to tell you there have been lawsuits fought in Florida and other places. I am not a lawyer. I do not know the perfect answer. I can't get there. I know the ethic. If your change is minor, the ethic is if you're changing 15, 20, 30%, you need to at least try to go with the guy that did it. I can help you track them down. Being inspired, there's a guy that tried to win one on inspiration, and John, you may remember more of this than I do. How do you prove inspiration? Now, don't walk into Brent Gibson's office and say, hey, these guys will draw this cheaper and make the change I want. Is it okay if I... Well, that's just wrong. By the way, any of those designers will sell you off the rack for a much more affordable price, and they'll even make minor changes for a much more affordable price. So there. But the non trying to be safe and cover Fanny legal wise is it's how most people do it. Yeah. And if you're like everyone I ever talked to, that's what you printed from. But it's not like I've got this one and I want this window to be arched. It's I have this one and I have this one and this is my style, and trust me, you never end up with the same one. There is a house, what's that crazy house, that floor plan called? It's not Flying Sky, what's it called? You know, the famous one where there's 9 different patterns that can be taken and it's 4 stories. Dadgummit Harmony, I always knew the name of it. I have had that plan brought to me 15 times. Redesigned 15 times, and not a single one of them looked, and I was like, holy cow, that's not my baby anymore. There was no similarity. The fact that it was I love this cottage look. I love this open glass back view. Boom, we're jumping off. That's fine, but it's never a, okay, we're gonna trace this and build type of deal. That answer your question worthwhile at all? Good. You were next, sir.
What if you kind of like just design your own concept, have an idea of what you're looking for in mind, and kind of sketch it out? If they let you take it in.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great jumping off point. I've had people go and buy cheap versions of Chief Architect or one of those that are not pattern designs or bubble pattern designs to get a set for it. They still have to be turned into architectural plans, but yeah, it's a phenomenal way to get going. Yes?
Are the building plans, if you build in Oklahoma County, are they actually registered with the county? Do they have copies of the building plans?
No, they don't save those.
The reason I'm asking,
Do they? I'm asking them to make positive, but they don't unless it's new.
my
Yeah.
dad said when he built this house out in South Youngs, they actually they plans were kept in Oklahoma County. And my point about this is, I don't know if it's true or not, but my point about it is, we kind of considered building that same house. That's what we were thinking about, kind of house I grew up in. If that is available, will they release those building plans to us? Are they public record or?
I get it. They're not going to have them. You can try. If they do, they'll release them to you, but they're not going to have them.
Now, on the other side of that coin, say if I want that house, can I go take pictures of it?
Yep.
Get an aerial
Yep.
view of it?
You knock on the door and ask the people if they'll let you walk around and measure it. I have had a number of people go to folks and say, a friend of mine lived in this house when I was young and I want to use it as the bait. They're honored. Who isn't honored? You know? I mean, good golly. Yeah, thanks. I worked hard on this. Now, some might look at you and go, get off my property, you creepy bugger. You know, in that case, you shoot pictures and you work off memory. Yes, sir.
Just a quick note, I've had a couple experiences in different states where, somebody's wanted, myself too, the plans of the existing house.
Yes.
Usually what the city or county or whatever who's done the plans makes you write to the architect to get a release. And if you don't hear back from
If they've saved it.
certified letter, if you don't hear back from them like in 30 days, then they'll release it.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. God, that's a long wait. But it can be done. All right, we got to, oh, gee whiz. That can't be right, is it? Golly. All right, if y'all want to kill me, kill me. 15 minutes, I got to fly. So once we are done with specs, we are able to start bidding out the house. We are now going to do two things. Number one, I'm in my voice and I got to go fast now. I'm so sorry. I've had too much fun. Number one, if you're financing, at the end of the spec meeting, well, even if you're not financing, let me back up for a minute because I got out of order with doing specs, go back to plans, coming back. At the end of the spec meeting, Rick Herron, my head construction consultant, has developed an exceptional algorithm for guesstimating costs based on the decisions you made. It's going to take us 15 to 20 minutes. If you're a smoker, go take a break. If you're a walker, wander off, whatever, but give us a little bit, and he's going to run that down, and he's going to give you an estimate of cost to build. We do this for for multiple reasons, but the best one is we have now theoretically mostly covered all three corners of the triangle. If we're out of line, this is a time to lift your hand off. Do we need to redesign the house to adjust the budget? This is a time to do it. Do we need to go back and reassess features? This is a time to do it. Once we have got it to where you're like, good, that is great. That's the plan, print it. Budget is good. We're going to give it to the designer. We're going to finalize the plans. We're going to put together a line item budget based on estimate, and we're going to submit it to the bank. Now, I tell you all that to tell you this. You are not going to close on that budget. But I have never seen, I'm not going to say it couldn't happen, I have never seen the final job costing come back more than 3% off one way or the other. So I'm comfortable enough with that estimate to send it there. Now, the reason I send it is I friggin' hate wasting time. It's going to take us 3 to 4 weeks to finish bidding out your house correctly, which I'm going to explain better in a minute. It takes a minimum of 3 weeks just to get out of queue for an appraiser. They will not put you in queue. Do y'all know what I mean by queue? Good. They will not put you in queue for an appraiser till they have plans, until they have a budget. I can always go and take a budget out and put a new one in, but I can't get in there without doing it. I do not want to spend 3 to 4 weeks bidding out the house and then wait another 3 to 4 weeks to get the appraisal and be able to close on your loan. So we go ahead and send it to get set up. Now, while we're waiting on the slow-moving buggers at the bank to do their thing, we are going to work. I'm going to send out somewhere between 50 and 75 sets of plans to get quotes, bids, engineering. I'm going to send you shopping. Because again, big friggin' difference between me and your builder. I want to know. I want to know. The more we have exact, the better and cleaner construction. So we're going to send it out. We're going to get the bids. We're going to, y'all going to go make your choices. What door do you want? What window do you want? Dadgummit, if you can get me there, what tile you want. If you can't get me exact, at least get me your price range. Are you $2 a foot, $1 a foot, $5 a foot? Again, I don't care, but I need to know the range so I can lock us in on this, okay? So we're going to get all those together. We're going to be communicating on a regular basis. You're going to have a question. We're going to have a question. Stuff's flying around coming in. And you're going to come in once we have it all. It takes usually about 3 weeks is the goal. And we're going to sit down. We're going to have our final job costing. And we're going to review all those bids and we are going to decide. And by the time we are done with that meeting, I'm going to have a line item budget. And I'm going to know what's going in your home, who's doing the work, what it's going to cost, and most importantly, why you made the choices you did. With that line item budget, I am freaking golden. We're then going to take that, we're going to slide that estimate out, we're going to put this in place at the bank, appraisal should be in, boom, we close on the construction loan, and holy cow, I'm sorry I've gone so long, I'm going to go fast. We have now covered the planning phase. By the way, anybody understand why I say planning is so important and so awesome? Any quick questions on planning phase?
So all of the estimates, budgets, and then the submittals, that's all included in the 2,500?
Yes, sir. Like I said, if we go through planning and you look at me and go, you know what, shucks, I decided not to move forward, I will cry myself to sleep. I lost my butt. I just did. But here's the thing. 2,500 is a pretty solid commitment. That's enough that I'm going to trust, and we're both, you decide not to move forward, realistically, we both lost. That's a risk. It happens. It doesn't happen often, but it does, and that's okay. I don't really cry. I just, I have 2 beers that night instead of 1. Yeah, that's the goal.
I have an interesting story.
Yes.
A friend of mine in Chicago built this perfect house that he and his wife had wanted for years. They built it, they lived in it 5 years, they decided that there were 4 or 5 things they wanted to change on it. So they built another house. It was just perfect. They lived in it for a year and decided they liked the first one best. So, when it comes to planning, you never know. So don't get carried away. I mean, I go with what you know.
You will make some. I believe it. It's fun. So we close on the construction loan. Out of love, I'm going to tell you, I will hit you in a minute, but I've got to go because people are going to quit liking me and that would destroy everything we're doing here tonight. I got 10 minutes, I got to go. You're going to come in and you're going to get your construction manual. How are we doing on this? All piece put together, you receive professional guidance, save thousands, built-in equity, avoided many costly pitfalls, of course. Phase 2, get your construction manual. Your construction manual, I should have brought one. Massive book, reference material. I got to slow down. If I don't cover this correctly, I've done a disservice. We're going to have a flow chart of construction. Again, it is oversimplified. I write it in a pattern where I'm dead serious. If your first grader needs to read it through to you, you can follow through. Step by step, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, how you build your home. Whenever you hit a stage, call lumberyard. I don't expect you to have memorized who your quote was from or what lumberyard it was or anything else. It just says contact lumberyard that simply. In the back is a series of tabs that my lands, Kelly, what is it, that thick? You would go to the lumber tab and you're going to flip it over. Right there on top is the quote you chose. Company name, contact name, quote number, their phone number to call, the line item of the bid, everything through. All you do is pick it up and call and follow. To make sure you have everything you need, the other quotes you didn't choose are going to be behind it, just in case for some reason you change your mind. That is for every element of labor and material all the way through. That's how you know what you're getting following through. Follow the flow chart. Once a week, in terms of a construction week, we are going to have a site visit where you're going to meet one of your UBuildIt field consultants, which a lot of the guys around here with UBuildIt shirt on tonight. They're going to come to the property and you're going to review the job. Now, for that week's work, you have a checklist. Anybody here a pilot? Rats. Ah, good. Pilots know checklists. They get them very well. You're going to have a checklist on a triplicate form to have followed through the week. Now, you're going to know what you're doing. It's going to be reviewed. We're always available by phone. We're always available by text if it's emergency out there, whatever. But the purpose of the checklist is when you do your daily drop by, is everything getting done? Is it correct? It's, oh, hey, that doesn't look right. I'm going to pick up and I'm going to call Ron Brown and ask about it. We're going to discuss it through. So when we get there, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to get your checklist and we're going to review the job with you. And we're going to review the week that just finished. And we're from the standpoint of a guy who's built 100 to 200 to 300 homes. Are there any questions? Are there any problems? How are we flowing through? Everything. We are there for you. It's going to take about an hour and a half. Budget your time accordingly. Some can be less, but I always would rather tell you too much and be too little. And we're going to go down. Then we're going to fill out our checklist. And we're going to take photos of the job. I do this for a couple reasons. When we're done and we get back, I'm going to take a copy of your triplicate form. We're going to hand our beautiful receptionist out here our checklist, our form, our copy of your checklist, and the photos. She is going to load them in the computer to save as relates to your home, and she's going to email them to you, so you've got a digital format copy, and to your lender. In case anybody wonders, more than any other reason in the world, that is why banks friggin' love us. I don't have a hard time getting a loan. My clients tend to get them at lower interest rates. They tend to get them at lower buy-in costs because they love our loans. Because they're in a bank in town or a builder in town that reports like we do. A weekly friggin' report at that kind of detail is unheard of. Every time the bank examiners come in and look at them, I literally say, don't they, John? Do more of those. Do more of those. Our loans are awesome for that reason. That's the review of the week to come. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to preview review the week past. We're going to preview the week to come. We're going to get your checklist for the next week. You're going to bring it with you. It's in your manual. It's part of it, or all those trade form checklists. And we're going to walk through the house and we're going to say, this is what this is talking about on the checklist. This is what's to come. These are common problems. This is what to keep an eye out for. So that as you're going through the next week, you're able to track. Okay? We have 28 of those, I believe. Yep. But we have the freebies. Okay, 23 scheduled. We have 5 freebies if you need them. So up to 28, I guess is the right way to say it. That is flow of construction. Stage 1, we break it into 3 stages. Stage 1 takes you to frame. Stage 2 takes you from drywall out. At the end of stage 1, we're going to have you back in the office. We want you to bring your manual, bring your checkbook, everything, and we want to review that big segment. Now, if you look at me and go, no, oh, okay, that's what you paid me for. The reason is this: no matter how great my system is, budget on a house is a tough thing, and it can get away from you fast. And these things don't pay in one check. They pay a little here, they pay a little there, and the average person, no matter how good, can struggle emotionally, mentally, and mathematically with where they are on budget, and also just the comfort level. We have found if we will do this, we're a huge help to you at staying on budget, and we're a huge help to you on going, okay, yeah, big chunk, all right, okay, yes, thank you for the refresher, because guess what happens? You've slept a few times, and all that incredible detail stuff you did in planning, you've forgotten. This is a great place just to refresh and go over. It's a great meeting, works very well. Our efficiency, client satisfaction, everything is dramatically higher accordingly. So we're going to do that at the end of stage 1. We're going to do it at the end of stage 2. End of stage 3, you're done. We'll come see you, take final photos, have an open house if you want to, put you on a commercial if you want, whatever you like. But you're moving in, and God bless you, you're good to go. So, that is the construction phase. Why use UBuildIt? Save money, build equity, minimize mistakes and cost time, blah, blah, blah. UBuildIt program benefits, clout with quality proven subcontractors, pricing control, no markup, no margins, value, flexibility, control. Yeah, I hope I already covered all that adequately. Satisfied clients, that is the equity someone asked about earlier. Cost to build versus the appraisal, move-in equity.
Excuse me, I've got to ask a question here, Rebecca.
Yes.
On the building, because I've had this experience. As a client, I'm probably going to be out there every day.
Yes.
And when they say they're going to put in 4 inches of concrete, and you go out there and measure before the concrete is done, and it looks to you like they only put in 1 inch of concrete, now what do you do?
Well, the first thing I would do, and I don't mean this facetiously, is I'd call your consultant. Call us, and that is one of the things get us out there to look at. Because, and in no way disrespect, I'm talking universal. Half the time a client just doesn't know what they're looking at, and once you go, you're measuring it this way and you should have measured it that way, they're like, oh, great, and you're beautiful. If it's off, then we need to get out there, and we might need to call the sub. But the end result, because I think the question you're trying to ask, I wanted to ask it on surface, but I think the deeper question you're trying to ask is if somebody screws you, what do you do?
Yeah, it's covered up. I mean, you can't dip your finger through the concrete and see how much is there. You had to measure it before. I mean, I actually did this in a basement in Chicago.
Yeah.
And there was supposed to be X amount of inches of concrete in that deal. And I went out there on the post, support post of the concrete, and I measured it off in inches.
Yeah.
And I know what they put in there. There wasn't any doubt about it. And so I had to get with the.
But the reality of your answer is you don't pay for it until they make it right. You don't pay for it.
Okay.
I mean, that's, end of the day, that's the answer.
Okay.
Because they don't own you.
Okay, so we call you.
Yep.
And
You're
you
the
look
bad
at
guy.
it
I'm always the bad guy. That is so not. Matter of fact, I advise every client I ever have, use me for that. Here's a great truth. Please live by this law. Let me start with the positive side of it. A workman's worthy of his hire. When the time is there to pay, pay. One of the reasons our subs love us and they work well, number one, is they actually enjoy working with the actual homeowner. The other is they get paid a lot cleaner and a lot better. That said, 3 things have to happen before it's time to pay. Number one, the job has to be complete. Number 2, our review of it with you, it has to have passed. Number 3, it has to have passed any applicable inspections. Now, once those 3 have happened, right, the man is checked. Workman's worthy of his hire. Until those 3 happen, keep the friggin' money in the bank account. Because I don't care how much power I have, and I got a lot. I carry a really big friggin' stick on a lot of jobs. I got nothing as powerful as cash. I just don't.
Yeah, well, that's what
So,
I did.
Yeah.
But they gave me a discount. It wasn't made right. The cost of making that right was going to be huge. So I ended up settling for a discount. I guess that's part of the deal.
On that end, and we're being unique enough that I'm going to clip it because I'm now supposed to end. Any time in life when you're at a situation that it's options, you just got to look at the options and decide which way you want to go. Yes, sir.
How much involvement, as far as, like, say,
Okay?
So if I want to you hang up drywall or put my own roof as far as like shingles and all that stuff. Now, is that something that goes into the planning also, or is this like
Yes.
have to go as far as
If you know that you want to do work yourself, yes. We will usually advise you to let us get at least one bid, because an amazing number of people sit and go, wait a second, I could have made 5 times that money in my job in the time it's going to take me to do that. But if you want to, you can. People often ask me what's the lowest cost I ever had a client build a house. The lowest cost was under $40 a foot. I had a client that built one for under $40 a foot. He did everything but the foundation himself. Everything. Frames, roof, window, whole 9 yards. Hell of a nice guy, beautiful soul, broke him from a divorce, got a little travel trailer, bought some land out in Guthrie, and this was his therapy. It took him a little over a year. I think it was 13 months to do it. He had a beautiful time. The house was worth $110 a foot when he was done. But that is the most extreme I've ever had a client do.
Well, no, that's just
Yeah.
the reason I'm asking is because, like I said, my parents have land in Guthrie,
Yep.
Gene Autry.
Okay.
So, they have 33 acres, and their dream is for us to kind of live together.
Yeah.
My brother's in the Army,
Yeah.
and my sister is a nurse in Medill. So like I said, my mom and my dad's dream is to live on this property.
Okay.
I don't know, but I'm more than willing to help him out. Build his dream house, so that way he can retire. So
There you go. Hey, that goes great. Dad, you're the guinea pig. That's a good way. That's our job as a father. Yes, ma'am.
How many months on an average are we talking from start to finish?
Okay. I'm going to answer that question in 3 different ways. First off, it takes 100 days to build a house. Just takes 100 days to build a house. But it has to be a pretty standard house, and everything has to line up. The follow-up question to that is, how many times you had a client build a house in 100 days? And my answer is 3. The average UBuildIt job takes about 8 to 9 months. But the average UBuildIt job, most of my clients, and I love you no matter where you are, our average job's $500,000 to $600,000 jobs. I mean, they're pretty friggin' intricate. Those can delay you. The end of the day, the answer I'm going to give you is the truth that you're going to hate hearing from me. How hard did you push it? It's 10 months, and the guy that takes 6, barring very rare flukes. The only difference was this one was on it, man. They wanted it done. They were on their book, they were scheduling, they were calling, and they wanted through. And the one over here was like, I want it done, I'm excited, but yeah, man, I got other things to do in life, and we're still going to take our vacation. And again, I don't judge. God love you. I'm great, but that is a huge gap. All right, yes, sir.
Altogether up front, about how much money do you think you need to have up front too?
John Dalton of Dalton Mortgage Group, come on down. I'm doing this because I've got to get y'all out of here out of respect. I want to give him a moment, and if he answers this question wrong, I'll step in and answer it correctly. Right. John, the floor is yours for a moment.
My name is John Dalton. I own the Dalton Mortgage Group. We have worked with Bob and UBuildIt since the day they opened their doors. The good news is you guys are halfway through this presentation.
Your building makes a great screen.
How much does it cost to get started? Out of cost fees, Bob?
$2,500 for us, $2,500 for the designer. But if that's what he was asking, $5,000, sometimes less. Right. If he was asking about down payment and things, the answer is 0 and 10%.
Exactly. We have a program that's specifically designed for UBuildIt clients. Who in here owns their own land? Tons. Wow. Okay. For you guys, this is going to be basically mainly out-of-pocket cost up front, say $5,000, and then you guys are going to be right into the project. For the people that don't own their own land, you still may be out of pocket no money because of the equity that UBuildIt builds into the project because of the money that you save. I'm not here to sell UBuildIt. I own my mortgage company. I'm a fan of UBuildIt just because We've worked with them. Their budgets are better than any other builder that we work with, just because other builders will get a contract price, and that's it. We have no idea where it is. UBuildIt's budgets go line by line by line. Other than that, our financing program, like I said, is set up directly with UBuildIt. The banks that we work with understand the process. The draws are easier to take because they understand how it's going to go, and they do more inspections than any company out there that we work with. So, like I said, I'm not here to sell them. We like to finance UBuildIt clients. We finance them from the construction side, and then we transition all the way to the permanent financing. For anybody in the military, we will also cover the cost of your appraisal on this as kind of a thank you. Sorry? Retired as well. Anybody that's VA will go ahead and do that. I didn't get shot at. You did. We're happy to do that. Don't clap for me. Don't clap for me. Clap for them. People ask. One of the questions that we've had is interest rates. Interest rates on these loans go anywhere from 5% to 6.5%. They're all interest only. Okay, that is a very, very low starting rate for people that have good credit and are ready to get in. And if you own your own land, your equity going into it's going to be very good also. We have sometimes people that judge their own credit. We've had 20 to 25% of the people that we've worked with over the years that say we'd love to work, we'd love to build our own house, but we don't think our credit is good enough. Don't judge your own credit, okay? Going to the websites, Credit Karma, Credit Yourself, Credit, here it is, pay me and get a million emails, those don't work, okay? Licensed lenders like myself can pull credit from the 3 credit bureaus. The other guys can't. And we can help you if you've got something on there to get it off. We're not a credit repair company by any means, but we have a model that we can put in and the credit companies will show us exactly what we need if you need help. Yes, sir. Debt to income ratio is 44%. Unless you're military, we can go higher than that. Or ex-military. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir. Let me take this real quick. If you've got the cash to do this, congratulations. You've done a great job. We recommend using a construction loan, not because it benefits us, because the bank earns the interest, we don't. We do that because the checks and balances system that the banks use and can determine how far in or how far out you are of the budget is great. Now, UBuildIt does that also. So if you've got the cash to do it, knock it out. I'll miss you, but that's okay.
My answer to you, and while I have no problem with what he said at all, I will structure it for you exactly as if you were going through a bank, and we will handle your draws the same way. You're just your own bank, and I'm going to give you this advice once I do. I don't ever want to hear you tell anyone ever again you're paying cash. No. Because some of these, God love them, and I do, they're phenomenal. Some of these subs are better salespeople. I mean, if they went and made the living as a salesperson, they'd be rich. And what they can go through, and you get to know them and you get bonded to them. You're like, oh, golly, okay, here's your money. Live by the draw schedule. Live by the rules you discuss, and you'll be fine. Okay. Yes and no, because the correct answer to bonded is no. People don't bond in Oklahoma. Workers' comp, which is what we mean by that in Oklahoma, yes, or they will have given you a writer off of it. I do want to cover a little bit of something just because I prefer to say it this way, and I'm stepping in your realm a little bit. If we have 20% equity, you don't need any cash down. The bank will finance on the mortgage 100%, okay? The problem you run into is construction lending. And if they did, they're going to do it this way because it's the right way. But if they didn't, the bank examiners who love them because of us would shut them down for bad lending. They won't do 100% financing on a construction loan. They have to have at least 10% value skin in the game, is the phrase they like to use. At risk is the one I use. That doesn't mean you have to come in with 10% cash down. It means you have to have an asset equal to 10% or more that is at risk. If it's equity in your current home, that can quite often work, usually will. If it's cash that you'll use, but you don't want to put as down payment, they can hold that in a CD. When the home is complete, they release it and give it back to you. And this is very, very common, if you're taking it out of retirement, so you're going to take it out of or borrow it from retirement, you have 12 months to pay that back without any penalty. So they take it from retirement, they hold it in a CD. When we're done with the home, they put it back in. If it's equity in land, and that's the most common, that's why he says if you already own your land, this is usually, if you've owned it for a year, it's you're covered. That takes care of. If it's money you're borrowing from parents, whatever it is, they have to have something at risk. If you have a specific question as to what that means as relates to you, because we've gone so long, I'm going to ask you to please stay and talk to me or John after, and we will answer. I do want to recognize Isaiah with Waypoint, TimberRidge Design, which does Waypoint cabinetry, as well as Design Center, or it's not design, what's the house? Design House for hardware. They, along with John, sponsored this meeting, and he would love to visit with you about any of that you are willing to listen to. Anybody in the UBuildIt shirt is here to answer any questions for you as well. This was a lot of fun. That is probably the worst video ever made for this purpose, because I have never had one of these go this way. I love you guys. Thank you. By the way, did anybody not get a hat that wants one? One. Thank you. 2. 5 jiggers. If you lose an eye, it's not my fault. There we go.
By the way, if anybody did see the CD, that was made a long time ago. That was Bob .1 and John .2. Now we're on version .3.
He's gotten thinner, I've gotten fatter.
Yeah.
Somebody had a last question before we separate out. Yes, sir.
Plus,
Golly, okay, don't lose me now, people. UBuildIt Plus. Thank you so very, very much. If you are like, wow, that's incredible. Wow, I love that planning face. Holy cow, I want to do this. I want the savings, blah, 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 blah. But you're also going, I haven't got the friggin' time, or I don't want to put in the time. We have UBuildIt Plus. It is $3 a square foot more. Everything is the same until you get to construction. When you get to construction on UBuildIt, you call and schedule the subs. You call and order the materials. You go by daily and do the review. In a UBuildIt Plus, you are paying me to be the project manager. Based on the decisions you, the builder, made, we will go and schedule the subs. We will call and order the materials, and we will go by daily to review the job, make sure the work is being done. Once a week, we are going to email you and the lender a weekly report and review of the job. About every 2 weeks, we will not move forward until you come and meet us on the job for a review. We have 9 times we will not go forward until you have walked the property with us. If you want to walk it more than that on off hours or whatever, please call. It's not like we're the boss. That is UBuildIt Plus. Its only real purpose, it could serve $1 million, but the reality is people that are too busy, such as I work 8 to 5 and I work 8 to 5, who the heck's going to see this job? Or I just don't want the hassle. Yes. Remodels, no, because it's too weird and too complicated and you're living there. If you're doing a remodel, I roll it over into TimberRidge Custom Homes, which is my custom home remodel company, and I'm 45% markup. Instead of 20, which is standard, I'm 45, and I just do it. I will give you the same reports, I'll do the same things, but if remodel is done correctly, it happens fast. And I can't pause too much. It just works so much cleaner if I just pop it off. And I would charge you exactly the same for a plus. So if you want it, you can, but it's just easier the other way. Absolutely. Absolutely it is. Thank y'all for coming. I went 15 minutes, 17 minutes longer than I should have. Please stay and ask questions. God bless you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you very, very much. Yay!